For the racingexperts.com and ESPN Radio Albuquerque 101.7 The Team, I'm Dominic Otagon. Thank you so much for being here with us. This weekend, the NASCAR Cup Series heads to Martinsville Speedway. It's to make the second and last stop of the 2022 NASCAR season with the Xfinity 500 on Sunday. We know Joey Logano will be advancing to the Championship 4, and Kyle Larson's team will compete for the owner's title. But there's still 3 spots up for grabs on the driver's side. Here with me to break it all down and preview the weekend ahead is the track president of Martinsville Speedway, Clay Campbell. Mr. Campbell, President Campbell, thank you so much for joining us.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure.
So tell us, this weekend, what have preparations been like? I know this isn't an overnight thing. It takes days and weeks and months to plan for races. So what's that preparation like leading up ahead to the Xfinity 500?
Well, it's much like, I don't know, we kind of look at it like Christmas. It's a lot that goes into it before, and we all look forward to it, anticipation, the excitement. Then it arrives, everything's great, then it's all over. But you know, it's been a lot of work going into this race. This one in particular, the team here loves it just because it's a penultimate race in the playoffs. That is great. A lot of attention on it. We've had a lot of things going on this summer. Actually, we've been working really hard since the April race, getting ready for this one. A lot of construction projects going on. So we're looking for a great weekend with Xfinity 500. The excitement level is sky high, and it usually is for a race like that here at Martinsville. It's a perfect place to have the penultimate race.
Well, President Campbell, the Campbell family is synonymous with Martinsville, and Martinsville is synonymous with NASCAR. The only track that is still on the schedule that was part of the original schedule in 1949. It just seems like Martinsville in October just has this natural feel to it.
It does. For years and years, we always ran in April, late April, or late September. And I tell you, a few years ago when NASCAR met with each track and gave them the next year's schedule, it was pretty cool that was the year they told us, all right, your first race is going to be under the lights. Oh man, that's awesome. That's great. That's what we wanted. That's what the fans wanted. They said, but wait, it gets better. I said, how could it get better than that? And they said, well, your fall race will be the penultimate right before they head to the championship. Gosh, man, this is awesome. It doesn't get any better. So, that's the way we look at things here. We were in September for a while. Now we're in October, but you couldn't ask for a better placement in the schedule. You couldn't ask for a better place for the round of 8 to come in here and lead with 4 guys vying for the championship. So I think the fans really love it. I know we do, and there's a lot of excitement building up.
Well, let's take a step back and take a look at the overall picture, too. Martinsville Speedway, you guys get 2 NASCAR Cup weekends a year, but there's still 363 days throughout the calendar year. What are some of the moving parts at the Speedway? Tell us about the village of people that it takes to keep Martinsville Speedway going, not just for the race weekends, but the entire year.
Yeah, well, race week is a week all in itself. So there's a lot going on. Frankly, everything should be done as far as operationally, as far as a facility, and it's putting out fires, so to speak, and making sure this goes right and that goes right. But all year long, we've got, especially with a race in April and a race in October, that gives us all summer long to do major projects. I don't know if you saw last week where we debuted the berm down in turns 1 and 2, a really nice large grass area in front of the grandstands in turns 1 and 2, where next year we hope to allow fans down there. You throw out a beach blanket and sit there and watch the race. It's a really cool area, and it kind of brings back what Martinsville was known for so many years, the beauty, the boxwoods, azaleas, and things like that. So I've said it time and time again, this place is a lot of concrete, a lot of asphalt, steel, and aluminum, and that's great. That means we've been growing, but in that process, we did away with a lot of things that made the place really pretty.
Sure.
It just takes us back to that. So that was about a 4-month-long process to do that. Not to mention other things that we've done, small projects. So usually we use that time of the year and wintertime to do things that we need to do to improve.
Absolutely. And when you debrief with the team next week, next Monday, or whatever point in time that is, in your opinion, what's going to make for a successful race weekend this upcoming weekend?
Well, we're trending right now for a sellout. That's first and foremost. That's awesome. We haven't had a sellout since 2006. So we're trending that way. That will be great. But honestly, it's something as simple as our staff being out there, seeing our fans, and seeing them enjoy themselves. Just a smile on their faces, talking to them and hearing them say, we've been coming here for X amount of years, or we came here last year and we want to come back. That's what really pleases all of us. That means we have done something that our mission is accomplished. We set out to do that and we did it. Fans had a great time. They want to come back. That's our gauge to a successful weekend. The fans that are here and they have a good time. Because if it wasn't for them, we wouldn't be here.
Absolutely. Absolutely. We're joined here with Martinsville Speedway President Clay Campbell. And Clay, we saw the racing in April. We know that the temperatures weren't the best. It was a colder race weekend. What can fans expect this upcoming weekend for the on-track product?
Well, Dominic, I think what you'll see this weekend is going to be entirely different than what you saw in the spring. You had a perfect storm in the spring of things that could make that race lackluster as it was. So, number one, we're not going to have 30-degree temperatures this weekend. That, in my opinion, was the biggest contributing factor on the race that you saw. That was just unheard of, really. You had a car that was practically brand new, that had never run here before, and they had 4 or 5 races under their belts by the time they got here. So they didn't have any knowledge of what it took to make that car work here. The teams didn't, the drivers didn't. They got that now. Warmer temperatures, and then throw championship implications into the mix, and I think you're set up for a much better show.
Sure. And you've somewhat touched on it too, but that was going to lead into the next question there as well, is for the race fan that might be skeptical to tune in, or that might be attending at the track this weekend. They're a little skeptical of the racing because they saw what they saw in April. What would you tell them?
I think give it another chance. It's like any other sport. How many football games have you seen 2 great football teams playing one another, and once the game starts, it gets one-sided. It's a blowout. It happens. Every race is not going to be, cars crashing into one another, going across the start-finish line at the end of the race. Things like that happen. Once the green flag drops, everything's out of our control. But again, I would say with everything I just mentioned, with championship, guys trying to make it into that Final Four, the championship 4, I think that alone will make a different race. And think about this, every driver out there has a reason to do better than where he is right then. So let's just say you're in 27th position. Well, if I pass that car in front of me and I get to 26th, that's one spot better. That's one spot better in the point standings. I get more money. Maybe somebody noticed how I did that. I get a sponsor for next year. So this is really the last race they have a chance of doing that, not counting everything that's going on in Phoenix next week. So I think it's a very important race, not just for the ones in the hunt to go to Phoenix as a championship contender, but everybody out there.
Sure. We know this weekend the Martinsville Speedway will, of course, have the world-famous Martinsville hot dogs. Besides that, what are some other things that fans can expect? If they're in attendance at the track this weekend, what are some other things that they should be looking for? Sights, sounds, smells, atmosphere?
Yeah, good question. I saw the rundown of everything we have programmed for this weekend, and it's amazing. And I can't even get into everything because it was several sheets long. But once a fan arrives here, whatever day he gets here, there is something to see and do and have fun with from the time they get here until the time they leave. And that's important for us. The race is what draws you here, but we want you to have something to do while we don't have anything on track. So our midway is just, it's busting at the seams with all kinds of interactive things. The stage will have numerous drivers down there throughout the weekend. We'll have bands playing. We've got a Ferris wheel for the kids and a really huge kids zone. But things like that. We got concerts in the campground Friday night, Saturday night. We've got Halloween festivities up there. There's something going on all weekend. It is probably I'm not going to say probably, it is the most we've ever had for one weekend. So it's going to be exciting.
That's awesome. Sounds like there's going to be a lot of fun for all the friends, family, and kids, the whole family. I love it. I love hearing that. And then looking ahead to 2023, we always know that tracks are planning ahead and always having that next big event, right? The most important event is the next one. So when you look at 2023, what are some other things that fans can expect? You touched a little bit on the grass area, but what are some other things fans can expect to see out of Martinsville in the upcoming season?
Well, I tell you, and I've said this numerous times this week, if you come here this weekend and you come back in April, if you don't see something different in April, then something's wrong. We improve, we change something every race, and that's the way we've operated for years and years. That goes back to my grandfather when he founded the place. He wanted to keep reinvesting, making the place better, giving the fans what they want. So right now, I could throw out a tease, but there will be something different when you show up here in April. As always, that's standard operating procedure for us. We've got a strategic plan that goes out 5 years, but a lot of those, bucket list items there, they may change because trends may change. Our fans' desires may change within that time period. So we got to change with what our fans want, and that's what we do.
And now, of course, before we cap this all off, I have to hit you with the hardest hitting question of the entire interview. How many Martinsville hot dogs are you planning on eating this weekend?
I will say probably 1, 2, 3, 4. That 3 days, so on one day I'll probably have 2. So maybe.
So do you treat the Martinsville hot dog as like its own entire meal, or is it a part of lunch or dinner or even breakfast?
Whatever time I'm around the concession stand, it doesn't matter if it's breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but I'll get me a few. And the fans will too. Usually, all joking aside, usually we do about 50 to 60,000 hot dogs in a weekend. So fans love those things.
And I imagine you've probably perfected the recipe at home, so you get to have them year round.
There you go.
That's President Clay Campbell of Martinsville Speedway. President Campbell, thank you so much for joining us.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me, Dominic.